an engineering institution to be making the people pass through such a situation.
Professor, you are coming from the leadership movement and you are in charge of research, innovations and development. Let's talk about issues of research in this country. We have engineers. Others are being trained at a huge cost, taxpayers' money. Can we say they have failed, or what is it that is leading to where we are now, when we have got the brains, we have the technocrats who have been educated at at the expense of taxpayers' money? Have we failed to be innovative? Have we failed to do research, and that is why year in, year out, last year we saw load shedding. This year Zambians are still subjected to load shedding. Where is the problem?
The problem is with the policymakers. That is where the problem is. We are having this issue because of one thing, the top leadership. You see, like us, the leadership movement, we have this department for research, innovation and production. We are preparing ourselves. It's one thing to issue a directive to your ministers, for example, and another thing for that minister to continue that chain of command up to the lowest member in the chain. That's why you have seen now the current president and the previous president, they've both bemoaned one thing. No, we do well at the upper level, the middle level, but down there is something wrong. It's because people have not sat down to research. How is the chain of communication? You can't blame the engineers on their own. If you are a section engineer, you manage, for example, Kariba North Bank, you can't just, you can put all your documents on the table. Boss, this is not safe. We are going to face this challenge of load shedding again. If the top person there doesn't take any action and put it into writing to say we should move this direction, and the top people are not willing to support them, so the engineers are not to blame. Just like any Zambian here, we have hard-working Zambians, and also ZESCO taps from that hard-working crop of engineers from CBU, University of Zambia, and everywhere. The problem is with policy. The other example to qualify my school of thought is this: Zambia, as a nation, is foreign-centered or foreign-skilled. It doesn't support the business sector. Look at what happens if you are to register a company today. You have to pay PACRA, ZRI, all these guys up to the council for a trading license. Before you sell 1 jiggies, you need to pay all these people. Now, how do foreign-centered companies, how are they treated? Those, they are given tax breaks and tax holidays. The conditions are well. Even the head of state has to fly out to go and meet with them, encourage them to do something. Now, look at the situation right here in Zambia. When have you ever heard that people sit down with entrepreneurs and encourage them to do business? Today we commend the current regime. They've increased money in constituencies. But how is the procedure to access CDF? It's quite long. You need to have to be some educated guy who writes reports, documentations, all that meant simply to disqualify the people who need the support. So what we are talking about here is that we need policy change. Put a Zambian first. We have serious engineers, entrepreneurs, people who are qualified to do this work. Say, I'll give an example of the research which we have carried out. And for some time now you've been hearing, no, this inventor has made a micro hydropower station in some place, somewhere in Zambia. Okay? This person has made their own homemade solar panel. This can be done. And the lowest in the education chain, they can carry out such projects. The problem comes in where there is lack of support and incentives from the top. So that is why for us as leadership movement, we are preparing ourselves. That's why we don't even insult or name call anyone, because we know that our time is coming. What causes this is simply a reflection of how someone prepared for an exam. Now an exam has come. It's now time to get A+, or a D+. So that's why we are saying and telling the nation to say, as what we are doing, we will tell you this is the research. We can go this way. The energy sector needs private participation and implementation of simple technologies that can help even within load shedding period. We now have rainwater everywhere. Any place you pass through, you find some flood water. Micro hydro turbines can be set up there. These are simple that can be even be manufactured from TDAU at University of Zambia. It's not only UNZA. Fabricators at Kalingalinga, they can do this. And we have done it ourselves in our research centers. We have this, but the issue is the people running the nation. Where do they want to go? Tomorrow you will hear that they want to come and bring in some more foreign players in the picture. What we are arguing for is to have more Zambian players incentivized and given a direction. We can solve this problem of load shedding.
Prof, you've talked about doing research, and I want to be, because you are heading a department of the party that is into research, and you've continued to brag here, for lack of better term, that you've conducted research. Are you holding on to this research that you've done, or you are ready to share it with government, the policymakers? And also, the president said he wants the rigidities that have been there in ZESCO or in the energy sector to be done away with, so that the private sector can be accommodated and start to participate when it comes to energy issues in Zambia. And this is the core that you're talking about. Are you holding on to your research, or you are able to sell the ideas or encourage government to go this way? Because the president has made it clear that he wants to go the line that you've talked about.
Exactly. I think that is the whole reason why we are even here, sharing our notes. We are not holding on to anything. Anything that we do, the researches that we conduct, we call upon the media and share with everyone. Just like I have been accorded this opportunity to be with you here. The whole reason for my presence here is to let the people know that other than just finger pointing, there is something that we can do today. The question is, those points I've raised in terms of tax breaks and tax holidays, meaning allowance for a local person to participate in the process, can it be cleared? That is what we need to look at. For example, we are not simply talking about higher levels of participation. Those they can. We are talking about people, let's say in Kalingalinga or around fabricators who can easily fabricate a vortex turbine. To use, Lusaka is seriously waterlogged. Anywhere you can put up such a simple turbine, you can generate power. 5 kilowatt power to run 10 homes. This is the innovation which we are trying to steer the nation towards. Because right now, I wouldn't lie to say, in the situation that we are in, if leadership movement is here today with these problems, we will sort it in 1 hour. No. We are only saying if it was leadership movement in power today, we wouldn't be having this, because we would have avoided it. When a mess has happened, it's hard to correct it. So it's an act of goodwill for the head of state to give out such pronouncement. Hopefully we will see a different future ahead. Otherwise, the leadership movement is all here and about the people only. That's why we don't waste our time in name calling and looking at mere criticisms.
We are mainly dependent on hydro, and people have talked about diversifying or looking at other sources of energy, and the president also talked about the issues of generating power from wind. Let's talk about thermal. Mamba Correaris and the president has been having series of meetings. They don't use hydro. How, in your research, do you believe that it is possible for us to look at other sources of energy rather than hydro?
Yes, there are so many sustainable modes of producing power in our country. One of them is thermal. like Mamba Kora is benefiting from the loads of coal which we have underground there, God given.
We are not generating this coal because there are people that they just hear the name Mamba Collieries and that they are using thermal, they are using coal. Others are thinking we are importing coal for Mamba to produce power.
This is the thing. It's a question of mindset. We have this comfort zone that doesn't want to explore other areas. So where we are standing as leadership movement, we are also careful not to promote certain ways of producing power that will end up exacerbating the climate change. For example, the thermal power and the burning of coal isn't so good for the environment. However, we have serious resource when it comes to uranium in this country. It's high time we removed the veil and think about uranium. Just a small bit, 1 kg of enriched uranium, you produce so much power that since there is a lot of people that require power from Zambia in the region, we can be happily exporting. So thermal power for us as nuclear power for us as leadership movement is what is first on the table. To say let's remove the veil. We have experts locally. Even at the University of Zambia, I had the chance to look at a course in nuclear power. So it's not a question of do we have capacity or the mind that can do it. It's simply a question of policy. Like we are saying, let government seriously consider nuclear energy because we have the resources. If we don't have the money, there are so many countries like Russia that would be willing to buy nuclear uranium, even the Americas, many people. So when we seriously consider nuclear energy, within 3 years we can set up such a plant that is going to replace all these money hungry forms of producing power. You know, just for you to complete a power station along the Kafue River, is it upper and lower Kafue Gorge, you need quite a substantial amount of resources, only to be told that, oh, this time around the rainfall pattern has changed. So what happens then? Hydropower has saved us. Where we can expand other small areas, and let's expand, but let's look at nuclear energy. We have all the resources that we need for nuclear energy. That's why we are advising the government, before it can even think of these other things, let's sit on the table. What are the requirements for setting up a nuclear power? So that all the plans that are gone through, look at people that can help us construct it. And at the same time, never forget technology transfer. Because usually this is what plagues a country like Zambia, whereby you don't want to engage yourselves in technology transfer. Intellectuals from University of Zambia or CBO or ICU and other institutions, those that are willing to participate in the technology transfer in nuclear energy, should be brought on board. And then we don't need some 10-year project that takes long. This time around, no project takes that long, because all you will be doing is reverse engineering. It's like building a house. You don't need a house to take 5 years. There's no point. Concrete only takes 28 days to cure. So a power station can be set up within 3 years or even less. So it's all a matter of commitment. Thermal energy is one way in the short term. Since we need power now, we can have generators, especially micro hydropower stations. We can have a problem at Kariba, but you know, water comes up north. So everywhere in Zambia, we can encourage these fabricators not only to fabricate, for example, windows and door frames, because a lot of our fabricators are doing that. They can be taught how to fabricate micro hydro turbines for power generation. That way we are going to tap in before the water flows back to Kariba. Because if so many people were to participate in micro hydropower generation, and ZESCO is willing to purchase that power from them, then we'll be doing a service to the chain, thereby removing that comfort zone which people have.
All right, we have some few minutes to go. Your last words, even as we conclude now, Professor.
I'm very glad that people are now beginning to open up to new ideas. My words to everyone is the leadership movement is here for the people of Zambia. We are doing our homework so that when given that mandate, which we know we are going to be given in 2026, we will be prepared. Because for any exam, like the background which I have, you cannot go into an exam without preparation. You need to study hard for that. And we are telling the people we have the solutions. We are not simply pointing hands or fingers or insulting people. We are telling you, the Zambian people, that we love you so much and we are doing our work now, so that when given the opportunity, we simply act rather than setting up more feasibility studies at the wrong time.
All right. Thank you so much for finding time to come.
I am very grateful.
All right, Fokolo, we have to go now.
Indeed.
Our viewers, that's all we had for you on today's edition of On the Lunch Table. Make sure that you catch us again tomorrow at the same time. On behalf of Kelvin and our guest, who has been Professor Silumbe, my name is Christabel. Good afternoon.